Wait for it. Party people in the place to be. What's going on? It's me. I just got finished watching Psych 2, Lassie Come Home. Contrary to apparently, as I'm filming this, the Rotten Tomatoes score, I was not a huge fan of this. I'm a big fan of Psych. I've rewatched the series a dozen times. Got a couple of seasons on DVD even. Watch it periodically, just on the regular. I really liked the first movie. This movie had some issues. Let's start with the issues first. That way we can round it all out by feeling good and warm and fuzzy inside. The issues that I had with it, first and foremost, the biggest one was the pacing. It was inconsistent in tone. It was very goofy, even for Psych, and very silly even for Psych. It was very, I don't know if they were trying to have very lighthearted moments to counteract the real life issues with Timmy O and some of his scenes, but a lot of his scenes were even very goofy. But there's one scene with Henry and Sean that gets super serious at one point, like too serious, for like far more serious than any really any other part of the entire series. Like almost mean-spirited. Just weird tonal issues. There were very weird tonal issues with the layout overall, as well as speed. It felt rushed. It's a 90-minute thing. It's a full feature-length movie. Why do you gotta rush? Like, the story that they were trying to tell, the mystery that they were trying to solve was convoluted at best. I get it, you know, you got a lot of things to tie up, and you go back and forth between the way Psych, you know, the way, you know, a mystery show comes out, but you got to do that multiple times. You got to do that for a longer stretch of time. But the way they laid it out, it didn't function that well. If you're going to have sort of a loosey-goosey type story, the least you can do is make it so that the characters we follow, which we already know and love, we enjoy watching them on this journey. I didn't hate this movie. I didn't hate the characters in it, but there was a lot of, you know, there were some characters doing things that were outside of their traits. It didn't feel like a Psych movie. It felt like an extra long fanfic put to screen and done kind of by an amateur director and or screenwriter. Like it didn't feel like Psych. It didn't feel like Psych. It didn't feel like a really cohesive story. It does follow Lassie. I did like how they explained Timmy O's condition. I like that they got that out of the way first and foremost. I thought it was odd when I saw Psych the movie the first time. And he only had a small bit, and the way he looked on screen, I'm like, did he have a stroke? Like, I immediately thought, did he have a stroke? And I looked it up, and he did. Joel McHale as his father semi-worked, and I say semi because I get how they did it, but the visuals of Joel McHale as Lassie's dad, you know, they may have been able to get somebody else for that. Early on in the movie, I very much knew who the bad guy was. Immediately. I immediately knew who the bad guy was, which isn't necessarily bad, but again, the story and how they tied it up and all the loose ends and the plan was so convoluted and not the easiest to follow, nor was it that interesting to follow. Like it wasn't great. Mary's scene, least favorite scene of the entire thing, and sort of a waste of that talent. I'm glad to see Kadeem Hardison in something. I almost want to say Kadeem was wasted, but not really. Kadeem's character kind of comes through near the end, but I would have liked to see more of him. Sarah Chalke, mwah, Sarah Chalk, mwah. Her interaction with Sean and Gus in particular made me scream multiple times, where the hell was she 10 years ago? I liked that they brought Chief Vic more into this movie. I liked Chief Vic's turn in the first movie, by the way. I like it when they have underutilized characters come into their own. And it's funny, that entire time, Chief Vic really doesn't come into her own on the series. She comes into her own in the movies. And she came into her own in the last movie, and she seems more of a part of the team in this movie, is particularly near the end. They cover a lot, but they seemingly still don't cover anything in this. Like, the mystery is secondary, which is a shame if the focus is supposed to be on Lassie, and this is supposed to be his story and his, we're finding things out about his mystery, but it's secondary to everything else that they're doing. So it's a mixed bag, this one. The strengths and the ending with Lassie is very good, and I'm glad they did what they did with that. Again, I'm not going to spoil anything, but the last scene with Lassie, very satisfying and very gratifying. And I'm happy that they went the route that they went with the Sean story. There's a secret that he's trying to figure out in his personal life, and I'm happy they went that route. And I'm happy that Juliet made the statement that she made. There's a line, not even a little bit. I'm happy that she did that, because there needs to be some recognition for those kinds of people, particularly women, that feel that way in real life. Like, she's fine. She's perfectly fine with where that story went, and I'm happy that you saw that represented. Gus's girlfriend has a more prominent role in this one, obviously because she barely came to any prominence in the last one. I kind of wish we'd have seen more time with her. I kind of wish they'd have fleshed her character out a bit more. She came off clingy in the first one. It was like, oh, I guess she's supposed to be like Gus had been on occasion. But this time she comes off just really kooky and kind of wonky and a little bit silly. But again, that kind of feeds into the overall tone of the movie here in general. I wish they'd have toned that down a bit and made her character more relatable and more real, more human. Like, you can be goofy and silly and still be real. Like, that's why we love these characters to begin with. But they kind of made her a caricature, and I wish they hadn't done that. We go back to that tone issue of how goofy this was and how silly it was and how ungrounded in reality it was. Richard Schiff makes a guest appearance here. He's very good. We see Kurt Fuller again. He's woodying it up. Buzz is back, although his role is really diminished, and it's kind of a waste. He's little more than a cameo. If I were to give this a rating out of $15, because that's what we're doing. Luckily, Peacock was free, and I got to watch it for free, and I'm like, and I'm glad, because I probably honestly wouldn't have paid any more than $7.50 for this, because for all the strengths, and the cast is great. The cast does what the cast does, and the cast is really good at, obviously, most of them outside of Gus's girlfriend have been doing it for, at this point, 15 years, 16, what is it, 2000, when did Psych come on, 2004, 2005, 15 years or so? So they know these characters, and they know how to play them, and the interactions work. I really like Sean and Maggie Lawson's interactions with each other. They feel like a real couple, even though I know they're not anymore, and that's got to be weird. But, it's one of those things that I actually didn't think about their interactions while watching this, like, for the first time since then. In the first movie, I was like, God, it's got to be weird. I actually didn't think about that while watching this. Like, that's how good their chemistry is, and that was probably one of the highlights of the movie. So, taking nothing away from the actors, they're superb as always. It's really, and that's probably the crux of the 750 that I would give to it. The 750 that's taken off is the story, the pacing, the maybe editing, maybe direction. It's not, and some of the waste of some of the characters and some of the lack of development of the characters, not necessarily the actors, that you see in this. It showed on Peacock that it had like a 93% audience rating. That's very high, but also it's not, you know, on a scale. It's not a gradient. It's 93% said like versus dislike. There's no gradient of the thumb. Here, there's a gradient, and it's really split down the middle. This should have been better. Also, it's kind of a waste because there really weren't a whole lot of loose ends to tie up at the end of the first movie. They tied them all up. Really, the biggest loose end from the movie was about Lassie. And so they devoted at least the name and a significant part of the screen time and the story to Lassie. But they kind of dropped the ball with it, and then it feels like they realized, oh shit, that only covers 40 to 50% of this movie. We got to make up the other 50 to 60%. Let's throw all this other stuff in. It doesn't translate that well to me. Like I said, I'm a big Psych fan, but this is, of the movies, the significant lesser of the movies, and I don't think I'll be coming back to watch this. Honestly, I don't think I'll watch the other one. The other one I'll watch again. It was really good, actually. I don't think I'll watch this again. And I like Kadeem Hardison. I like Sarah Chalke. I like the character or the actors in it. I don't think I need to see this again. So 750 out of 15, I think is just about right. If I was going to move it, I'd move it down, but I think 750 is just about right. Party people, tell me what you think down there in the comments section. Did you see this? Did you see Psych to Lassie Come Home? What did you think about it? How wrong am I? Oh, get on your click and clack machines. Oh, you're so wrong. You're so wrong. Come on, son. You're so wrong. Surreal, don't be the cold side of the pillow. This is why it was the greatest movie of all time. Polaroid picture. No, it's not, actually. No, I'm not being contrarian just to be contrarian. I know that's kind of in my DNA, but looking objectively at this, I can't really recommend it. That last scene with Lassiter, very powerful, very good. Glad they did it. I can't really recommend this. Like, if you're a huge Psych fan, watch it once. That's all you need. You really only need to watch it once. You don't need to watch it. It's not worthy of a rewatch, really. And if I was doing like a Psych marathon or a rewatch or whatever, I'd probably, you know, even through the weaker seasons, I'd stop at the first movie. I don't need to see this again. Anyway, tell me what you think down there in the comments section. Like, share, subscribe. Patreon.com/Surreal469. That's Patreon.com/Surreal469 is where you go to help keep the lights on and the drinks flowing at the party people. And that, unlike a significant portion of this movie, ain't bad. Cheers.